You are tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. That is the specific quality of what you've been carrying, not the tiredness that a good night's rest addresses, but the deeper variety. The kind that accumulates over weeks and months of invisible effort, of holding something together that nobody else could see was being held, of waking up each morning and choosing, again, to keep going, without any external sign that the keeping going is producing anything beyond more days of keeping going. You function perfectly well. You smile at the right moments. You contribute. You engage. You maintain the surface of a life that looks entirely operational from the outside. But something in the center of you has been very quietly running out of the specific fuel that hope requires. The kind that comes from visible evidence that what you're doing is working, that the direction you've chosen is sound, that the universe has any awareness at all of the sustained, largely silent effort you've been putting in. You have not given up. That is the thing I most want to acknowledge before I tell you anything else. You have not given up, even on the days when giving up would have been the least costly available option. You chose to keep going without any guarantee that the going was leading somewhere, which is perhaps the most demanding thing a person can be asked to do. And the specific tiredness you're carrying right now, the quiet, functional, still going but running low tiredness, is the tiredness of someone who has been doing something extraordinarily difficult without the acknowledgement or confirmation that would make the difficulty sustainable. What I am about to tell you is not encouragement. It is information, because what is happening right now in the sky, and what it means for the specific, accumulated, quietly built investment of your recent weeks and months, is not a matter of feeling better. It is a matter of understanding what you are actually standing at the threshold of. And once you understand it, the tiredness will still be real, but its meaning will change completely. Mercury conjunct Saturn is active today, and in the context of everything that has been moving through this extraordinary period, the releases, the pressures, the precise removals of Mars and Saturn working in concert, the karmic accounting that has been underway, today's conjunction brings something that the preceding days were necessarily unable to offer. It brings clarity. Mercury is the planet of the mind, of communication, of the ability to connect information into understanding. When Mercury meets Saturn, which holds the long-view structure of everything, the complete accounting of what has been and what is being prepared, it creates the specific conditions under which the mind can finally, for the first time in what may have felt like a very long time, see the sequence, the pattern. The reason that the apparently chaotic and apparently painful and apparently random events of the recent period have been arranged the way they have been arranged. The fog that has been present, the sense of not quite understanding why things were happening the way they were happening, of trying to find the logic in a series of events that seem to have no unifying thread, that fog is beginning to lift today. Not all at once. Not in a dramatic revelation that answers every question simultaneously, but in the specific, quiet, Mercury-Saturn way that clarity tends to arrive after a complex period, as the gradual recognition that you can see the shape of things now in a way you could not see it while you were inside them. The connecting of dots that were, individually, just dots, but that now, with Saturn's structural perspective available through Mercury's capacity for understanding, are beginning to reveal themselves as a line. A deliberate, specific, purposeful line. The chaos was not chaos. The pressure was not random. The loss was not punishment. The intense, sustained, seemingly endless period of holding on was not meaningless endurance. It was a sequence, a precise, cosmically deliberate sequence that was always, from the first difficult moment to this one, heading somewhere specific. And today is the day you begin to see where. The universe has been watching. I know that statement can sound like the kind of thing that people say when they want to offer comfort without being able to offer anything concrete. But I am not offering it as comfort. I am offering it as fact, specifically as the astrological and energetic reality of what Saturn, the planet of cosmic accountability, has been doing throughout the entire period you have been moving through. Saturn watches. That is its function. It holds the complete record. Every choice that was made when the choice cost something, every moment of staying when leaving was available, every night of holding on without knowing why, every sacrifice that was genuine and went unacknowledged by the people around you. Saturn is not sentimental about this record. It does not admire the choices or feel moved by the faithfulness. It simply records them with the precise, comprehensive attention of a system that operates on the principle of exact return. What you have been putting out during the hardest moments of the last weeks and months, the patience, the integrity, the consistent effort in the areas where effort was least rewarded, the choosing of something real over something easy when something easy was available, every piece of that has been building in the account. Not as a vague spiritual balance that might eventually, somehow, produce some unspecified good result, as a specific energetic debt owed to you by the structure of the universe itself, proportional to exactly what you invested, payable in the specific areas where the investment was made. And today, with Mercury conjunct Saturn bringing the clarity of the connected sequence, you are beginning to be able to see the accounting. Not all of it. The full delivery comes in the days ahead, as the window that these extraordinary transits have been preparing continues to open. But today you begin to understand the sense of it, to see that the difficult period had a direction, to recognize the shape of what has been building, and in that recognition to feel, perhaps for the first time in a while, something other than the quiet exhaustion of waiting. Good karma is not a spiritual concept that may or may not produce real results depending on variables you cannot control. It is an energetic law, as literal and as reliable as the law that governs what happens when you plant something in prepared soil and give it sufficient time. The planting produces growth, not because the universe is feeling generous, not because you hoped hard enough, but because that is the nature of the system. The output follows the input. The investment produces return. The care taken produces the thing cared into existence. What you have been planting during the hardest months of this period is real. The consistent effort in the areas where effort seemed to produce nothing. The patience practiced on the days when patience felt like foolishness. The choosing of yourself and your standards in the moments when the choosing cost you something immediately available. The care you extended to others when you had very little to spare. The quiet, daily, unglamorous faithfulness to something you believed in without visible confirmation that the belief was warranted. Every single piece of that was a planting, in prepared soil, by someone who had been paying the price of the preparation across the entire length of the difficult period. The return is not a maybe. It is a when. And the specific quality of the cosmic accounting that has been underway through this entire sequence of transits, the Mars-Saturn precision, the Chiron clarity, the Venus-Jupiter opening, and now the Mercury-Saturn understanding that is arriving today, means that the when is measurable. The return is not happening in some indefinite future. It is in the completion process now. The delivery is being prepared. And the preparation, according to the specific energetic reality of where you are in the cosmic sequence, is nearly complete. The tiredness you have been carrying is the tiredness of someone who planted and tended and waited through a long growing season. What you're about to discover is that the season has been advancing even when the surface showed nothing. The growth was happening underground, and the evidence of it is preparing to emerge, not as a vague improvement in your circumstances, but as the specific, proportional, exactly calibrated return of what the entire difficult period was building toward. The cruelest timing in the world would be to contract now, to let the exhaustion of the long period become the thing that closes you off right at the moment the delivery is being prepared. To decide, in the specific days when what you have been earning is completing its cycle, that you have waited long enough and that the waiting is not producing results, and to turn away from the direction of the arrival. I am not asking you to summon energy you don't have. I am not asking you to perform an optimism that isn't genuine. The tiredness is real, and it is earned, and I am not suggesting you pretend otherwise. What I am asking is this: do not contract. Do not close. Do not let the exhaustion become a wall that the delivery cannot reach you through. The specific difference between staying open and contracting is not the difference between feeling great and feeling tired. It is the difference between being available and being unavailable, between being in the receiving posture and being in the protective posture, between letting what is approaching reach you and using the energy of your exhaustion to block it, not because you mean to, but because the protective closing that exhaustion naturally produces creates exactly the kind of resistance that delays what was ready to arrive. You do not have to feel good to receive what is coming. You have to be open, and openness, in the specific exhaustion of this moment, looks like the simple, grounded decision to trust the sequence for just a little longer. To stay present in your own life, rather than withdrawing from it in exhausted self-protection. To remain available, even in the tiredness, even in the quiet running low of the fuel of hope, to what the clearing and the accounting and the building sequence of these remarkable days has been moving in your direction. Just a little longer. That is all that is being asked of you right now. The hard part is over. I want you to let that land, not as a promise I am making without basis, but as the accurate description of where you are in the sequence. The period that produced the tiredness you're carrying, the sustained, multi-layered, intensely demanding period of holding on, of sacrificing, of choosing rightly when wrong would have been easier, of waiting without visible return, that period has completed its work. The clearing has happened. The accounting has been done. The karma has completed its cycle. And what comes now is categorically different from what has been. What comes now is not more endurance. What comes now is the return. The specific, proportional, exactly earned return of everything the long period was building in the account. In the areas of your life where the patience was most tested, purpose, abundance, recognition, connection, peace, the return is preparing to arrive, not as a vague general improvement, as the actual, tangible, life-changing arrival of what the entire extraordinary sequence was moving you toward. You do not have to keep bracing for impact. That specific holding tight, waiting for the next difficult thing posture that you have been in, the one that became automatic because the difficult things kept arriving and the body learned to anticipate them. You can let that go now. The impact is not coming. What is coming is different. What is coming is yours. You earned it in silence. You built it in the nights when nobody was watching. You maintained it through the period when maintenance felt like the most you could do. And the universe, which has been watching with complete attention through every moment of the maintenance, is settling the account. The tiredness you're carrying is real, and it will lift, not because you will suddenly feel energized or because the circumstances of your life will change overnight. It will lift because the specific, deep, hope-fueled variety of tiredness that comes from sustained effort without visible return has an end, and the end is the arrival of the visible return. The evidence that the effort produced something, the confirmation, in actual circumstances, that the planting was real, and the growth was real, and the delivery is real. That confirmation is arriving. The sequence is completing. The room that was prepared in the clearing is filling. You made it through the hardest part. The easy part, the receiving part, the having what you earned part, the finally resting in what you built part, is what comes next. Stay open. It's almost here.